Hi everyone, glad you could make it. Welcome. Today I'm going to give you a tour of my garden. It's been a while since I've made my last video. The weather today is very nice, so let's take you around my garden and show you how the plants are looking in late September now. The Mutsubachu have put on quite a lot of growth in this year because of the fantastic summer that we had this year. You can see the growth that it has put on, and there's still few roller coming up. Yeah, it's been very fantastic year for all of the tropical plants in my garden, and in general here in UK. The Euphorbia Galaxy Glow still showing off its colors from the flower. I do need to cut off those flowers now, but it's been such a show throughout the year. I think those flowers came out around late February or maybe mid-March, around that time, and all year it's been putting in the show in here. The Colocasia Pink China, they have, again, they're looking really good. What I've found is that they do like some fertilization. The one that are closer to my banana clumps, I can see they have more bigger leaves than the one that are further away, and I think this is due to the fertilization, because I did feed my banana plants more, whereas the plants on this side I didn't feed that much, so therefore they're much smaller growth. Well, at least that is what I think, but if you think otherwise, put your suggestion in the comment. The other tropical plants in here are the gingers. So these are Hedesium. I've put in the ornamental gingers in here this year, and then obviously I've got a few cannas from last year as well, and they are just still going through. My Trachycarpus fortunei. This is one of the first Trachycarpus that I purchased, and it's in its second year now, and it has put on some new leaves out, and obviously these are the old ones, but I think from next year the leaves that it produces will be much more than what it's been doing this year. Cordyline australis, your regular cordyline, I've got this in the pot, and it's looking really nice as well. I've got a pampas grass that I planted in here at the beginning of the year, and it has grown so much this year. Acers planted, so this is Acer Skeeter's broom, and the plant is settling in nicely. This is its first year. I planted this early in the springtime, and it has added so much color to the garden as well. The plant is looking really healthy. Zintadecia. So these are arum lilies. I've got 6 clumps in here, and they are looking nice. They did struggle in earlier in the year and during the peak of the summer because of the lack of rain that we had. But now that we started to get some rain, they are greening up, and they look really healthy at the moment. Here's my another Acer, Jerry Shirts, and these Acers, I'm really getting into those Acers in terms of the color. So now that we are in autumn, this plant is changing its leaf color to red, and the colder it gets, it will the color change will be more prominent, and it'll be more visible. As my second large Acer, so this is the Acer Orange Lace, and again this is growing nicely. And next to my dome, I've got a few coprosma on the pot, and look at the color, the vibrant color that that it's radiating, right? These are also called mirror plants because of the shine that are in the leaves. But yeah, I'm really loving the color that these plants are producing, and I really like the glossiness on the leaves. So I've got 3 varieties of coprosmas, and I purchased them last year, kept them in the greenhouse throughout the winter, and then when it was spring I potted up and put them outside, and look how healthy these plants are looking. In maybe late October I'm gonna simply move them inside the dome, and then they should be protected for this side of the border. The Daphne is continuing to produce flowers, and I mentioned in various of my videos that this is one of my favorite plant because of the duration, how long this plant generates flowers, and these flowers are fragrant as well. So I've got a few other Daphne in this side as well, and again they're always in flower. They're always. Olive tree doing well. The stem is thickening up really nicely. Got my Sedum Autumn Joy. Now the flower of those Sedum Autumn Joy were green a few weeks back, about 3-4 weeks back. Now they've turned into sort of like pinkish red, and again it's one of the characteristics of these sedum, and again I think is a good sedum to grow if you want to add a little bit of color as again to the garden. So this is my Euphorbia John Phillips cross pasturii, and yeah, it's just taken over this section of the garden. I've got few more plants that are already covered by this Euphorbia, but I am thinking about moving those plants that are already underneath the Euphorbia John Phillips. So if you have Euphorbia John Phillips in your garden, make sure that you give it enough space, because it does grow quite large. Here's my Rhodes Standard plant. Again, it's nearly covered by the John Phillips. So next season I will be moving this plant. Again, I have a hydrangea behind it, as well as some other evergreen plants behind it that I need to move away to give it enough space. The climbing rose, well, what a show this climbing rose produced this year. This year I'm trying something different with my climbing rose. I haven't actually pruned or deadhead any of the flowers, because I want to see the hips, the rose hips that it produces, and you can see that these are the rose hips that this plant is producing. Is changing color, and it's just a different kind of interest that I'd like to see from the climbing rose. Yeah, all the plants are generally looking really, really nice. This has been one of the best summer that we've had here in England, and yeah, we are very lucky. So this plant here is the begonia. I grew them from combs or bulb, and yeah, this is the time that they are showing off the color and producing the flowers. I really like the begonia flowers. I think they are a little bit underrated. Late summer and autumn, this is when these plants shines really. They produce tons and tons of flowers, and you have different options of choosing different kinds of flowers as well. This pond here is a DIY pond. I had a fountain in here that I took off other day and put it in my shed. The bamboo, I have several plants in my garden in pot, and they have done really, really well. This year I've had to water my bamboo plants because again there was almost no rain for several months for us. Night blooming jasmine have started to produce its buds, flower buds, and these are so fragrant, and I'm looking forward to the fragrance that this plant will produce. This is my Phoenix Robilini palm tree, and this is doing really, really well. I'll have to move this plant into my shed to keep it protected, to keep it away from the cold, winter cold, but they are a little bit cold tolerant, so I can keep it until probably end of October, mid-November outside, and then I'll move it into the shed. So this tree is the Pieris and is producing its second flush of flower buds. It does flower in the spring, which was really good to see, and now is producing its second round of flower because we've had such a long summer this year in UK. My Brugmansia is in flower as well. So that's that's some of the cuttings that I took from last year, and this has been I've got 3 different varieties of Brugmansia in this pot, as you can see, and yeah, they're budding up. My main plant, original plant Brugmansia is this one here, and yeah, it's been just flowering his socks off. So much flower. Last night we've had some strong wind and rain, and that's why you can see the damage on the leaves. It's kind of like droopy, but there is so much flower in this plant, and these flowers again, they're fragrant. In the evening time when I come out of the house, if the weather is nice, you can really smell the nice fragrance that comes out of these flowers. I have another clump of Euphorbia John Phillips in this side, and again this is doing really well. This border here I've got few clumps of Persicaria Red Dragon, and Persicaria Red Dragon I have one clump planted in the ground, and I have the other 2 they're in pot. They're nice filler plants, I think, and they are so much tougher than other plants. Once you have one clump in your garden, you can create as many clumps as you like from the cuttings. They're really easy to root. So yeah, think about it. But in some areas, in some countries, I think these can be invasive. In my garden, I haven't found this to be the case. So do check where you live. But this is a nice plant to add color to the garden. So this one here is Euonymus alatus. This plant is, again, it has its unique characteristic. As you can see, the leaves changes color in the autumn time, and it's going to be bright red in a week or 2. It's already started to change color, but now it's going to be more darker and darker as the cold approaches. My Trachycarpus fortunei, this is the second one that I purchased really 2 years ago, and again it has put on few leaves, few leaves this year. Mahonia softgrass. I've got so many Mahonia softgrass in my garden. I purchased them really like tiny in a 9 centimeter pot, but they are doing really well over the last 2 years. they have put on some growth. They are kind of like winter flowerer, and you can see they are putting on the flower buds. And I have lots of, as I said, Mohonia softgrass dotted around. They're evergreen plants, and they add nice, they add interest throughout the season. Loquat tree is settling in nicely this year. I've planted the loquat tree in the springtime, early springtime, and yeah, definitely I can see the growth that it has put on throughout the summer, and I think it's liking the position that I've planted it in. Dahlias are always a really good plant to add color to the garden again, and again really nice and easy plant to grow. I have few clumps of dahlias around, planted around in my garden. I am basically using them as a filler plant at the moment, but I will. There are few varieties that I like more than others. The rose, it's been the best year for the rose as well. My rose plants have done so well this year. Begonia grandis is flowering up. Last year I had one clump of Begonia grandis in pots, and they produced bulbils, and I was managed to get so much plant out of like same Begonia grandis to plant around my garden. It's again nice and easy filler plants, but they do like a little bit of shade as well, so don't plant them in the full sun if you can, to avoid leaf scorching. So here's one of my Trachycarpus waggy. This is actually the smallest waggy in my garden, and I have several other waggies that I bought from B&M, and they are doing really well, which I will show you in a moment. This is the Magnolia stellata. Here's one of the larger waggy, and yeah, this again was planted sort of late spring, and it has settled in nicely. My Anseti muraliae is growing. This is its second year now. It has grown larger than it was last year, but again, I'm not getting as much growth out of this plant as I see in other videos, in other gardens in YouTube. I think I need to feed this plant a little bit more, and I think I'm underfeeding this plant, and that's probably is the reason that I'm not getting the height, or it could be just because it's a young plant. As I said, it's in its second year, and I think in terms of the health, this plant is looking really good. I don't see any signs of disease or anything, so I'm happy in that regard. Here's some geum, and I have some tender tropical plants in here. I've also planted a Phoenix canariensis in here, and just as a trial to see if it could make it through the winter. I know they are a little bit less hardy, so I'll have to just see how it does. It is kind of like sheltered, this area, so we'll see. So this palm tree here is a Butea odorata, and this palm tree is again planted. This was planted late spring, and it is doing well. Let's put on some growth. My Kniphofia nordia are doing well. This is the main one that I've purchased initially, and out of this mother plant I have managed to get several pops that I've planted around the garden. I think about 6 or 7 baby Kniphofia nordii, and they are growing as well. Actually, I have two just next to it as well, the one here and one underneath that plant. The waggy, again another one that I planted early spring and doing really well. My Acer Bloodgood, this one I planted sort of like midsummer, and it has settled in nicely, and it has, once I planted it in, I think it put about 6 inch of growth, 6 to 7 inch of growth already. So I am really liking the way it's adding more color to the garden. This area I grow tender vegetables in, and I've managed to get lots of produce from this side. So I've got a few aces in pot that I am keeping at the moment. Come next year, I will try to find some space for this in the ground, because I do like aces in the ground rather than pot. That way I don't have to worry about watering those aces much. But in terms of the variety, this plant here is the Acer. This is called Jordan, and then I have the Inaba Shidare. This is a, I think, whipping variety of Acer. Then I have the Acer Little Prince, and that one is, I think, Katsura. A few more aces in here. So this is the Red Sentinel variety, and again I'm keeping it in pot. Next year it's likely going to go in the ground. Acer Dissectum. So I don't know if you can see, just behind next to the fence I have a Sycamensis banana plant. So this is the Sycamensis Eba Red, I think, the variety, and it was tiny when I planted in the beginning of the year, and it has put on so much growth. I'm really glad to see that is the perfect position for this plant, because the leaves throughout the summer and spring was intact. It didn't have much damage. So this area, this space where I planted this plant is quite sheltered by the other plants, and it's really looking nice. I do have to put on some protection for the winter. My tree dahlia have put on so much growth. This is one of the two clump that I have in my garden, and the other clump actually even taller than this clump. But yeah, they are looking really nice. Another waggy. I'm looking forward to the growth next year, because this year they've just settled in. And then I've got a few more begonia as well, different varieties that I've got in pots, and they are now producing so much flower, and loving the colors that is adding. Got a fig tree that I was able to harvest quite a few figs this year. Tree fern, Dicksonia antarctica. I've got 3 tree fern in pots, and this is one of them, and they are settling in nicely. The Fatsia japonica, various clumps I have around along the fences, and yeah, they're looking really nice. This area is again sheltered by the fence as well as the fruit trees that you can see on the top. Here's the second of my tree fern, Dicksonia antarctica, and the third one is just behind it. I've got another pond in here, and this one again I put in few fishes as well, goldfish in here, and they've got the You can see just one of the fish. Few more Nymphophia nordii pups that I separated from the mother plant and planted in here. They're doing well. Of course, few more rose plants in here that so these were cuttings that I took from the other plants that I have on the other side of my garden, and I basically what I've done when I pruned, I just selected few of the stems and I pushed them into the soil, and this is what I got after 2 years. They are now mature plants. I can dig them up and plant them somewhere else. So voodoo lily, I've got 3 plants in here. So this is the first year that they've been planted in the ground. So I've got Begonia grandis in here, and then this one here is the Fatsia polycarpa. This is one of the 4 Fatsia polycarpa in my garden. And then here's a Fatsia as well. So this is a different variety. This is a Fatsia camouflage. I've got one more clump of Alocasia pink china on this side. And then this one here is the hydrangea. And behind the hydrangea, I have few hosta clumps as well as tree lily clumps. And around the tree lilies and hostas, I have few fern as well. Here I have a Paulownia tomentosa that I grew from seed. This is one of the 3 Paulownia tomentosa that I've planted in the ground. And then next to the Paulownia, my Trachycarpus waggi is doing well. This was planted kind of like late summer, mid to late summer, and is settling in okay. Few other plants around is the Brugmansia again. These were cuttings from last year, and they are producing some flower buds. And then here's another waggi palm, and this one here is another Paulownia tomentosa, and here's the final Paulownia tomentosa as well. This Brugmansia again from last year, I kind of this clump was overwintered from last year in my shed, and yeah, it's in flower at the moment. And this one was one of the cuttings that I took last year, and from the cutting this plant this was planted in here, and this is now doing well. Again, these are not cold tolerant, so I'll have to think about either letting it die or dig it up and keep it in my shed so that I can replant it next year. So my bamboo plant on the ground, this variety is the Fargesia rufa. I've got 2 clumps in here, and they have put on so much growth this year. So there you go, that was a quick tour of all the plants, all of my tropical and subtropical plants that are in my garden. They're doing okay. They have had the best summer this year, and yeah, it's now time to think about what to preserve for the next year and get the winter preps done, so that come next season, comes next spring, we are all ready to go again. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you did, please like, comment and share the video, and stay safe. I'll see you in the next one. Assalamu alaikum.